Disclaimer: Chronically Illing Out is a podcast and weekly roundtable discussion that provides a safe space for real chronic illness and mental health conversations by people with lived experience. We are not trained professionals and we do not claim to be. Rather, we discuss our stories and current events to build community and solidarity. Know that you are not alone, and if you are in crisis, call or text 988. Good morning, everyone. Welcome as you start coming on in. Let me make sure we're live on Substack. I did not see any notifications, but all my stuff is.
People are coming in, Nick.
Oh, sweet. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I'm having a hard time seeing anyway. I just got back from an eye doctor's appointment. Sonia, Soso, can you take it away?
Yes, no problem.
We start. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Chronically Healing Out. Today we are and there are already 35 people in the chat. So hello, good morning, Neuro. Good morning, Courtney, Trudy, Vegan, Mark. And that's it. So today, the name of our episode is called Get Out the Guilt. And we are thrilled to have as a guest, I'm just going to call you Dr. Greg. Welcome. I mean, I'll try to pronounce your name okay. Like Dr. Greeley Miklashek is
really close. Yeah.
Is a retired neuropsychiatrist who has been recently following our podcast and who had commented in one of our notes, I remember. And I think we are present also in the chat. So we got into touch and I was honestly fascinated by your, let's just say first, the fact that you were talking about your own chronic illnesses, but that you have had such a big career also dealing with, I mean, let's just say it, I mean, people who struggle every day with mental health issues. And we know how close the body and the mind are connected. So yes. I thought, what an opportunity to talk to Dr. Greg. So thank you for having us, for coming with us. And if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you, first I should ask, how's everyone? That's also, how are you and how is Beth and how is Nick? Because that's usually what we do at the beginning of the episode. So how are you, Dr. Greg?
I'm, like I mentioned earlier in our little chat before we got started here, I'm recovering from not only long COVID, but prostate cancer. I've had the second series of radiation treatments, and that really knocks me out. Yeah. At least this time they didn't try to castrate me, so that was an improvement. So yeah, I wasn't going to go with that. They did it chemically, so for a year I had no testosterone, and all my health, my body fell apart, my mind, I couldn't think. It was a nightmare. So they suggested we do that again. I suggested they go to hell. Respectfully, of course.
Respectfully.
Yeah.
Respectfully go to hell.
With all due respect, go to hell. So so I'm really coming out of that pretty well now. So I'm having as good a day as I have in a few weeks, and I'm grateful for every day I get. So,
well, it's good to have you with us.
Thank you,
Dr. Greeley. Do you mind introducing your field of study, what you did while you for your work, and what you what you focused in specifically, but also how it's impacted your view on your own chronic illness?
So it's kind of a broad topic. At 80 years, it's a pretty extensive. But bottom line is that I'll truncate it. I went to medical school at the University of Wisconsin, graduated in 1972.
I wasn't born.
There you go. So
neither were you, Nick.
Yeah. So Yeah, the bad news is for you, you're going to live longer through the collapse of the environment and all the rest of it.
Mm.
And I've got a ticket for getting the hell out of here. But anyway,
We're gonna save it. Don't worry, we're gonna save it.
so anyway, yeah. So they had an accelerated psychiatry program. I went into that. I did a little cancer research, wet lab cancer research at Wisconsin. I worked in the gross anatomy lab. I was the chief venipuncturist. I was doing all the bloods in the hospital in the morning to try to pay for the educational experience. I went out without any debt in the end. I think my mother paid, for my education. My father was nowhere to be found. And so, and then I went to the University of Rochester as an assistant professor, ran a couple of psychiatry wards there. But the bottom line is this. I had a really screwed up childhood. And when I first started my psychiatric rotation at the University of Wisconsin, there was a wonderful mentor there, Carl Whitaker, who was one of the fathers of family psychiatry, family therapy, family psychiatry, because, you really can't tell what's going on with somebody until you study their whole family. And if the whole family's involved in the recovery process, it works a hell of a lot better. But so I was just entranced. The nurses loved me. I loved everybody in there. I had found my people. The mentally ill were my people. So,
But that is so important. I mean, validation.
Yeah, but, let's face it. I've only known one other psychiatrist in my entire career who was humble enough to appreciate, and respect what people were going through. Most of them are scared to death and don't want to get anywhere near the material that their patients are presenting. And in this day and age, they've only got 15 minutes to talk to them anyway, so who cares? There's no time.
Right.
So I kind of stuck out like a sore thumb. I've been fired from a whole bunch of positions because I just didn't fit in. I wanted to hang out with the patients, not with the staff, right? So, yeah. So I always used group therapy. I treated 25,000 people. I figure wrote 1 million prescriptions.
Wow.
And we were still writing them by hand. It took years for my hand to work again after I retired because of all the arthritis. And, but that was not the main thrust of the treatment. It was really psychotherapy and, respect for that individual and their experience and all. So, but I was also learning about my own, childhood abuse and CPTSD and the rest of it. I remember giving an AA talk in St. Mary's, West Virginia, where the abuser grew up. And there was about 60 people in the room. I'm giving my AA talk, and I'm mentioning, the childhood abuse and all. And I was telling them, I've just discovered that I'm an abuse survivor and that, I have PTSD. And because I had these, about once a month, I'd want to have one of these terrible reliving nightmares, or somebody standing in the room. My life is in danger. I'm going to die. I'm paralyzed. They're called night terrors. I'm paralyzed. I can't move. I know I'm going to die. It is the worst possible fear on earth, right? And it's what soldiers go through, if they've been exposed over and over again to near-death experiences, which is what causes PTSD, as far as I'm concerned, near-death experience. And so I shared this with the audience, and then I said, so these night terrors are not that uncommon, are they? We all have them periodically, right? So I didn't think much of it, right? And at that point, I put my hand up and I say, who in the audience has had one of these? There's 60 people there. No hand went up. I was the only one. And of course, there was a reason for that. I had really severe, particular lifelong condition that I wasn't aware of. I'm treating other people with it, but I couldn't see it in myself. So it screwed me up royally. Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, I went on to work at a number of different mental health centers and, psychiatric hospitals and whatever. And then finally retired Independence Day, July 4th, 2012. And, moved into the last 14 years of further, reading and writing, and wrote my book. This is the paper copy of it. Stress Are Us, and these are
it is huge. If you go, sorry.
Is that good?
Yeah, the brain, right? Cuts of the brain.
Cuts. Oh no, this is the adrenal gland.
Oh, it's a gland.
Yeah, it sits on top of the kidney. It's the adrenal gland. It's where adrenaline comes from. When we get that burst of energy and fearfulness and all, that's where it comes from. It comes from that little circle right in the middle of this gland.
Wow.
And this picture is taken, or this series of pictures is taken by a German physician who published this in 1944. Okay. His name, or the name that he uses anyhow, is Dr. Liebegott. And if you know any German, that translates roughly to "Dear God." All right. I think these are camp victims that he studied, and I think he was trying to absolve himself of the guilt of being involved, and so he published this. But the sequence shows a normal cross-section of an adrenal gland at the beginning over here, and then it runs through two of them that are from highly stressed individuals, which is where most of us have lived most of the time. And you finally end up with this on the end, which is a failed adrenal gland. I mean, it's just totally destroyed. And that's death. So it's the sequence, of what chronic stress will do to you. And God knows these poor devils were in a stressful environment. But I saw these people all the time in my medical practice. So I was treating stress disorders when nobody knew what the hell I was talking about. And I had the same thing. Of course, my main treatment was, scotch. And I'd go home every night all wound up from all the stories I'd heard all day long. I treated about 20 people a day. So,
that's
I loved every one of them. And I was probably way overly empathic and empathetic. It's the word that's used today with these poor devils. And so I had to unwind. And my parents had taught me that liquor will unwind you, relief drinking. And unfortunately, I did that for on and off for 25 years, nearly destroyed myself. And, that ruined at least one marriage. I've been married 4 times, I have 4 kids that don't speak to me. So I apparently have gotten something wrong. But nobody ever really pursued why. And you talk about guilt. I mean, guilt and shame were my middle name because I knew I had this secret something or other that I had to constantly self-medicate. So
was it aware? Were you aware at the time? Like self-awareness, you knew that you needed to self-medicate?
Oh, no. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah, which justified it, of course. And I had to retire at age 67 to get sober, which thank God was, 15 years ago now. And I'm convinced that every alcoholic and addict, which society generally looks down our noses at, is some kind of an abuse survivor trying to numb out the chronic, anxiety from some form of PTSD. I mean,
Yes.
this problem is gigantic and doesn't get much press. So I try to light up the net as much as I can with it, and a lot of people appreciate that, and some don't. You know, and I'm sure I'm triggering people as well, and I apologize for that. But so does that help?
I mean, it is a lot I mean, we're talking about a lifetime of
Yes.
both personal struggles and at the same time professional struggles too. But I just hearing and yeah, talking about the triggers. I mean, being a sufferer of CPTSD myself, when I see someone and I imagine what they went through, because often what we do is we have different defense mechanism, such as,
Yep.
and we were talking about that earlier on. There's the book from Pete Walker talking about what are the ways people will usually react, which is you can freeze. Well, I mean, this is all related to being. I mean, I'm sure you can explain them better than I.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fawning in the process, and I think
Yes.
where the guilt comes in, because we're like, oh, we have to make sure everything's all right. We were overcompensating. So
that book really helped me understand the fawn reaction. It's the four F's
absolutely.
of the stress response: freeze, fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And I really didn't understand the fawn thing until I read his book, and then I realized my whole damn life has been, fawning and trying to fit in and look normal and all that crap that we do. And so,
how is your life different now? Now going through the process.
Yeah. So, I have more respect for myself. I've been sober these 15 years. I'm no longer. I've forgiven myself. The 12 steps that Bill Wilson came up with, wrote a book in 1939, Alcoholics Anonymous. It's a wonderful recovery program. It's too bad so few people, including people in AA meetings, actually follow those steps. And there's a term, work the steps. You get a sponsor, you work the steps. And good sponsors are few and far between. I had some terrible ones. I think I had 10 of them overall in 15 years. And one of them was spectacular and went right by the book. We got down on our knees, we prayed. I had this experience of this tremendous weight being lifted off of me. It was wonderful. And I've experienced one healing experience after another to get to where I am now. It's too bad it's the end of my life. I finally got to the beginning at the end, But and ultimately for me, the cure, the relief, the joy is in a spiritual experience. And I have that experience with Mother Earth. I'm a great fan of Mother Earth. Really, I have a whole collection of Paleolithic carvings of Mother Earth. And I'd show them to you, but they're all naked women, and that kind of troubles people sometimes. So
what?
Yeah. Well, they're 25,000 years old. I mean, they're the earliest art that humans made, what's called representational art, and now there's a word for the art that you can carry around, because these are hunter-gatherer people, so they have to carry it around. And
wow.
Yeah, so yeah, it's great stuff. The Venus figurines, the Venus figurine. Yeah. So I'm a great fan, and I have the world's biggest collection in private hands of these Venus figurines. And so I wrote another book on that's not widely published. But so I think the clan, the social organization, which I believe you good folks and we are constantly trying to recreate, but we do not have the connectedness that our hunter-gatherer ancestors had out of necessity.
Yeah.
I mean, they had to form a group. They had to protect each other. They were surrounded by wolves. You know, the women ran the show. You know, humanity was matriarchal and matrilineal up until very recently. Women were in charge. There's still any number of Native American tribes, the Navajo, the Iroquois. Somebody the other day was telling me about another one that are matriarchal and matrilineal. So the women own the property and they meet together as a group. So women were designed originally to work together as a group, you know, to make decisions for the whole group. And the men are out, you know, chasing usually meat animals or defending the territory or whatever.
Gathering too. Yeah.
Yeah, but and I love this phrase, you know, keeping the home fires burning. I mean, that's what women have always been doing, because they're also in charge of the children, the vulnerable members of the society, the older, the wounded, you know, so, and they have to keep the wolves away. So they do two things. They talk constantly in a high screechy voice and keep a fire burning. You know,
It's so interesting that you should be talking about this, because Nick has a series of intelligent masculinity.
yeah.
And I'm just like wondering what you guys would discuss when it comes to the differences, you know, like those years. I mean, I would say like hundreds of years ago, and now what we see today, you know, where there's so much toxic masculinity. But that would take us away from our current subject, which is, we try to go back to, you know, where does that guilt come from?
Yeah.
You know,
where does the guilt come from? You know, guilt is basically a form of self-punishment for breaking some written or unwritten rule of social behavior. And it's absolutely endemic and built into our present, you know, culture and cultural experience, except for one individual that I can think of in Washington who seems to have none, but who should have a lot. Yeah. None. Yeah. So we have a whole subclass of humanity today called sociopaths or psychopaths who experience no guilt.
Yeah.
Ironically, they are also trauma survivors, because, you know, part of PTSD is numbing your own personal emotional experience, or it certainly was for me. I mean, I was a dead person, except when I was with fellow crazy people. Then I was lively. But, you know, so anyway, we have to develop a capacity for self-forgiveness. And that's what I got out of those 12 steps, and the wonderful people that did help me. Many of them didn't, and even made it worse. But self-forgiveness is a key. And that to me is the gateway to some kind of spiritual understanding of life. You know, whether it's Mother Earth or Father, whatever. You know, my closest family member is a cousin who's a devout Catholic. So for her, it's Jesus Christ. For me, it's a little broader net, you know. And in fact, I'm wearing a shirt right now that I got off the internet. I don't know if I turn around, you can see what's on the back of it, maybe.
Sure.
Can you see it?
Oh, look at that. The tree of life. Beth. I say Beth because we often talk about the tree of life.
It says, the earth is my church and nature is my religion, which kind of summarizes the whole thing for me. And for most Native American people or First Nations people,
Celtic people, right? Because I've,
Yeah.
I've seen people in the chat saying like Celtic people. What about Norse? Anyways, that's just the Celts were matriarchal. That's true. Um, wow. What we're all listening, but Beth, is there something you'd like to
Oh,
mention?
I was just thinking of guilt, guilt as a person who's, has daily pain. And this last week I had a really bad flare. It was up there with one of my worst, absolute worst. And
Yes.
I still don't have full range of motion in my neck from it. And I had to rely on the person I'm getting ready to divorce to take care of me. And that's a strong feeling of guilt right there, saying,
Sure.
I don't want to be married to you, but hey, can you help me get out of bed? So yeah, I think for me, I do suffer a lot of guilt about things that I can't do for myself.
Oh, yes.
If I have to ask for help, I don't like to ask for help. I want to be able to do it, and it's a struggle. So yeah, that's my experience with guilt and chronic illness.
Asking
And
for
and you just have to let it go. You reach this point where you realize you have to have acceptance for where you're at in your disability or your challenging situation, and so that's where I'm at. Just, this is what it is, and move forward. It's not easy, for sure.
Yeah.
That's it.
and the people, our ancestors who lived in these hunter-gatherer clans, had none of that. I mean, they were connected at a level that we rarely can appreciate, let alone experience. I'm 80 years old. I told my cousin, who's almost my age, who's a woman, lives about 50 miles from here, who I only get to see about once a month. But I told her the other day, this is the first time I've ever had a relationship. This is the first time I've really been close to and loved, I suppose, another person with all my heart. It's platonic love, but and she's having the same experience. And we grew up similarly, won't go into the details, but it was tough for our parents, the war years and the Great Depression and all that. So
she's a cousin, like just a first degree cousin.
Yeah.
So you have like like your parents would have been related, so you would have seen kind of like
Right.
the same family dynamics, or
Right. Well, I didn't understand my own parents and my family experience until she explained it to me. She told me what she saw.
Wow.
And my father, I grew up with a father who hated me my entire childhood, never told me he loved me, never hugged me, acted pretty much like he'd prefer that I was dead.
Oh.
And a mother who, both of them lost their opposite sex parent when they were 10 years old. So they were both suffering from abandonment trauma. And that kind of trauma and the reaction to it can very often does get passed on generation to generation. So transgenerational trauma. Okay. And
Absolutely.
so when I realized with what she told me, what they had gone through, I realized that it allowed me to forgive them. And in forgiving them, I was able to forgive myself,
Feel like you broke the trauma cycle?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. It wasn't easy. And I needed a lot of help. And, that's what you were talking about, feeling guilty for asking for help. If we're in that clan group and we've lived with these same people our entire lives, we don't have that experience. If we need help, we ask for it. And we're not going to be looked down upon by a little group of people that are a few extended families living together and surviving, together. So it's such a different life experience. I think, we're all, I don't know about you guys, but, I have a Hungarian grandfather. My dad's great grandfather was born in Budapest and raised there until they moved to Akron, Ohio. His mother was an Irish Catholic, Anna Duffy from Dublin. She died in the Spanish flu, so he was forever looking for a replacement, which is what my mother was, and he didn't want me to compete with him for my mother's love. So, and I'm an only child. So,
Oh, wow.
Wait a minute, what about me? So, and his father treated him the way he was treating me because his wife had died and he was a small, a butcher running a small butcher shop in Akron. And he and his sister, who drank herself to death by age 50, were shipped off to grandma and grandpa. I go into more of the story, but they had really basically difficult, childhoods, and they passed them on to me, which is what we really need to be careful of. That's what parents really, that's the real problem, isn't it? Is passing on our trauma to our children. And I heard that once from one of my boys. He said, I don't know why you spend any time with us. You seem not to care that we're even here. And I went, oh my God, and that was my life experience.
That's that's tough. That's gotta be tough.
Well, tough is learning, tough is learning. We don't live in these clans anymore. We don't have that connectedness that those people did. So we're just struggling to regain our sanity and our emotional health,
Dr. Greg, would you, what was I going to say here? I was going to ask you now, since you went through so much and you still have so much on your plate with your health, what do you do now to keep yourself feeling mentally well, or is at least as well as you can feel with all that you're going through? Is there some sort of, do you meditate? What do you do to help you get through the day?
It's a really good question. And one of the most important experiences I've had in my life was becoming a State Department employee, a physician working in the State Department in 1974, and being shipped off to Bangkok, Thailand, which, by the way, is a Buddhist country, right? And I don't know if you've ever been in a Buddhist country or not, or hung out with Buddhists, but they are wonderful people. And they are, they're all about meditation. They're all about, spiritual development, meditation. And their most important characteristic is compassion. So compassion for all life. They won't step on an ant, a real practicing Buddhist. And to this day, that's me too. I won't kill anything that I don't absolutely have to.
Yeah.
I eat very little meat. And I've never forgotten that experience. I still have my Buddhist robes, although I don't dare wear them around Marietta, Ohio, that's for sure. But I have the greatest respect for those people. And I'm sorry there isn't a Buddhist temple around here. Buddhist temples are just unbelievably spiritual, environments. So
I would suggest for everyone to read The Art of Happiness from the Dalai Lama.
Yes. Oh, he's just wonderful. He's precious. Yes. So, and staying close to nature. But the problem is, where do you find nature now? Now, Soso, you're up in Quebec. You could probably step outside the door and be in the woods.
Absolutely. I have a tiny wood just in front of my property, but I'm surrounded. But I got away from the city, consciously made the decision to move. Like, this is 30 minutes from like Quebec City, but it's in the woods. So, but you're right. Like, nature, you have to go look for it. I mean, my husband was born in France, Lyon, and Lyon has been there for hundreds of years. So you can imagine. I mean, he was going down the stairs, no park, like, just like it's just cement everywhere. So they would go during the vacation with the grandparents to like the countryside. But I mean, it was a conscious decision, and they were able to do it. But I'm guessing not everyone who lives in a big city is able to afford to get out of it.
We've created, a truly bizarre physical environment between automobiles, trucks. I'm forever sticking earplugs in my ears. One of the things I do is I walk down the hill. I live across from a cemetery. And this cemetery dates back over 2,000 years. It's called Mound Cemetery because in the center is an Adena mound, a burial mound that's, I think, 60 feet high. There's some steps that you can walk up to get on the top of it. And George Washington couldn't pay his Revolutionary War officers any money. The country was broke, in 1776 and on. And so he set up the Ohio Company. That time, that was all Indian territory. And he sent out these unpaid Revolutionary War officers, and they could buy a plot of land for $1, and they could start their life in this new territory, which, oh, by the way, was already inhabited by some other people who weren't so glad to see him show up. So there's a wonderful book on Marietta and how it developed called The Pioneers by the late David Macaulay, which I recommend. If you don't know much about early American history and what was really going on 200 years ago, the heck with this 250-year business. Get a hold of that book and see what these people went through, and the Native American experience, which of course was a nightmare. But so when I walk down to that river, they have installed swings down there, these metal swings the city did. So I've got a favorite swing. I go down there and swing and just watch the river go by and the birds and, and it's sort of an arboretum. So there's a lot of different species of plants and flowering trees and stuff. It's wonderful. But, and it's free, so.
And that gets you your nature.
Well, it gets me a form of it, but I miss, I came down here 5 years ago from Wisconsin, which is really where my heart is. That's where my ashes are going to be strewn, is up in Wisconsin. And you can find real uncut, primal forests up there. Also in central Michigan, the Hartwick Pines there is one. And so I love a real forest, an uncut forest. And there's, there are just these huge battles that are going on now out west in Oregon and Washington over the clear cutting, and these idiots in Washington that are, giving permission for these lumber industries to go in there and clear cut the forest. I used to have a bumper sticker when I lived in Georgia. I've been around, and it said, what did it say? An area where you grow trees for profit, a tree farm, is not a forest. A tree farm is not a forest. A forest has a life of its own. It has an organization of its own. It has all sorts of creatures and life forms that live there. And that ain't going to be true in a clear cut and then, regrown tree farm, right? So, yeah. That's where I find nature. That's where I find serenity and a spiritual experience of reality. I mean, that's reality. we're
I
just sort
agree
of,
with you. You're not in your thoughts. You're just observing everything,
yeah,
just
yeah,
seeing little
Mhm.
details.
right. Yeah, what we give our attention to has everything to do with how we feel and our health, actually. And in a true natural environment, we're attending entirely to nature and forgetting about all this other crap that's eating us up, right?
Hmm.
So, uh, it's so important to have really healthy parks, you know, and they're few and far between down here because these ancestral people just they cut down every tree. There's 6,000 abandoned oil and gas wells not far from here, in what is turned into then a national forest. Which are, and of course the same people in Washington are turning over all of those into log factories. So we're in a difficult time, and I of course put that out there on the net, which interestingly enough, I mean, literally thousands of people relate to, and there are probably thousands of others who don't want any part of it, of this crap, right? So anyway, does that help
Nick,
any?
No, I'm just sitting and listening for the most part. I'm having a harder time this morning, so just enjoying the show. But I did want to get to our meditation because we're nearing the top of our hour, and I want to get to. I'm hoping I have the right meditation for the day, but I don't know. I have roads less traveled.
Oh, that's great.
But I had text sent for Just Breathe. So I'm
Yeah.
not sure if I got
Just breathe.
access to the right meditation, but we're going to do Is Roads Less Traveled ready for meditation? Is that an older one?
It is an older one.
Well, I
should be
guess we're going to
fun.
do an older one
We're
today.
gonna do an older one.
I'm going to switch us over to our meditation. That'll give me a couple minutes too to get QR codes and stuff set up on the flip side.
thank you, Nick. And I know that
Yeah,
are you
thanks.
seeing better now? Because
I'm seeing a little better, but my knee is going off right now too while we're sitting here. So just having a rougher start to the morning.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Nick.
It's all right. It happens. It happens. So everyone, I'll see you here on the flip. We'll see you here on the flip side. I'm going to switch us to our meditation. Yes, it'll say reset, refresh for a second, and then it'll switch over to our other one. I didn't get anything preset before our show, so just bear with us for just a couple moments, y'all.
Thanks, Nick.
thank you,
Thanks,
Nick.
Nick.
Welcome to our Reset, Refresh meditation. Join me by taking a deep breath. Welcome to our Roads Less Traveled meditation. Join me by taking a deep breath in through your nose and slowly exhale out through your mouth. Take another deep breath in and slowly exhale out. One more deep breath in and slowly exhale out. Imagine that you have chosen to take the road less traveled, the path worn in search of the soul. As you walk this road or path less traveled, feel the ground beneath your feet, the touch of the warm, gentle breeze on your skin. Notice the landscape all around you, trees, stone, and earth seemingly painted on peaks and valleys. You are safe in this moment of quiet surrender. With each step, you are moving further away from the noise of daily life and deeper into relaxation. Give yourself permission to leave any stress or worry behind. Allow your shoulders to drop and your neck to soften. As you continue your journey, feel the peace of this place, the quiet stillness, surrounded by nature's art. Take a slow, deep breath in, and as you exhale, release whatever remaining weight that you may be carrying. There are no deadlines here, nothing to be solved or resolved. It is your moment to just be. As you navigate your days and weeks ahead, take a moment to calm your body and return to a road or path less traveled. Robert Frost assures us that it has made all the difference.
All right.
That's
Welcome
wonderful.
back.
Thank you.
Thanks, Beth, for that wonderful meditation again.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. And Soso's pictures, always beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Always, always.
Capture the
So-
essence of what's happening right there.
So, Dr. Greeley, can you please promote yourself and what you're doing and where people can find you and support your work?
Yeah, I showed you the cover for the book, Stress Are Us. You can get the free PDF out at Stanford simply by Googling the title. It's not complicated. Stress Are Us with the letter R. And I've written, I think it's now 23 essays, if anybody still writes and reads essays.
On Substack, yes. For
Yeah,
sure.
I love Substack. It's saved me.
Mm.
And the title of my page is Greeley's Newsletter with an apostrophe. Yeah, some people have not gotten it because I don't put the damn apostrophe in there. But Greeley's Newsletter. And but, you know, I don't promote the kind of wonderful material that you guys just put up there. It's such a part of me at this point, and it's what I've done for years. So I tend to forget about it. And you know, and as I'm breathing along with the meditation, I'm going, "Oh shit, I should be breathing." You know. Yeah. So, and I'm retired and willing to you know, speak to anyone, you know, through that Substack, I guess, particularly people who are having substance abuse problems. I'm a certified addiction medicine specialist. Yeah, even though I spent 25 years of my life, you know, drinking, and so my heart goes out to addicts, and I think so often they're, you know, they're gypped because the treatment programs they go through really don't get at the root cause of the emotional disturbance that they're self-medicating with alcohol or drugs. I've gone through several of them. They never bothered to ask me why I drank. So, I mean, give me a break, you know, including psychiatrists. So why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you drinking like this? Well, I have this terrible anxiety I can't get rid of unless I drink. Nobody ever bothered to ask. And I'm afraid it's so much of the modern treatment, environments. That's true. Nobody asks. So, and because of all the guilt and shame so many people are so filled with, we don't dare speak about it. So I didn't. So you're wonderful people. I really appreciate it.
Judy says you sound like a very empathetic and compassionate MD. So,
what a compliment! What a compliment!
I agree.
Yeah, as we all should be. Yeah, as we all should be. But so many are just scared to death, and so well defended, and we live in a world of frightened people who, one of the neat things about Marietta is there's a cultural tradition of 13,500 people here. And when you're walking and you pass somebody on the sidewalk, you always say hello. There's always a greeting, and except that seems to be dying out now, but it's a wonderful tradition. It's what we should always be doing, greeting the other. But
being a good neighbor.
Go I.
Agreed, and thank you for being here with us for this discussion today. And I'm going to pass it on next to our meditation specialist, Beth. Still owes me an icon.
Amazing writer.
Friend, go through your emails. Friend.
You'll have to redo it again. It got lost, I bet.
I feel so sorry for you today. You just we don't look you.
Look in pain.
He looks like he's in a lot of pain. Thank you for coming today, Dr. Greeley. And you can find me at the Possibilitarian's Light, where I'm working on memoir. And you can find me here on Mondays with my friends, and also with Soso on Wednesdays for Time for Joy, where we take time to talk about things that bring us joy, and try to just bring a little light to the world. So, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I'm getting there.
You're okay, friend.
No worries.
So, how about you, my friend?
Hi, thank you, Nick, for first of all being there and helping out, even though you were late and I was having issues with the tech. I wasn't sure, so I waited. So I feel like I'm the one who made you hurry up, and even though you're in pain, but this is me fawning right now. So yes, I'm at Soso's World every Monday, as Beth said here, and Wednesdays for Time for Life. For me, Dr. Greg, this was very, very, I don't want to say even triggering, but this was, I feel, because I do have a professional background in psychology. So I was a childhood survivor of violence and mental health issues with my dad. So for me, it was a very, I don't know. I don't even have the words, but for me, I just, yeah. So I'm not even able to promote myself right now because I'm like, it feels like I found someone who knows, but you've just had so many years ahead, and I, like, you see my picture. I'm out there. I'm in nature. I moved. I just try to capture the moment, see the beauty in the world. I'm just also fighting off pain and death. I mean, I guess that's it. There you go. And I have to do something meaningful. So thank you, friends, for allowing me to do that with you on Substack. So yeah, there you go.
Thanks, Soso.
Thank you.
And finally, I'll promote myself as come here and support Sick of the Shit publications with us here. Get more chronic illness discussions, get more masculinity and better humaning conversation, more progressive talk and unfiltered views for me when I am not feeling like poop. And because for some reason I'm in a lot of pain right now, this will be and Shane is driving, so this will be the last time y'all see me today. We'll have Palin Talk a different day of the week for those who are expecting that here in about an hour. But thanks everyone for being here with us and being part of the discussion and being part of the show today. We'll be back next week. And Doc Greeley, thank you for being here with us today for this discussion. It's been really interesting to listen to you today and hear all the things that you've been talking about. And I hope to have you back and have more discussions. This sounds like I'd love to dig in more, and especially when I'm feeling better, when I can actually participate in the conversation. But thank you for being here today, and everyone, thanks for being with us. Thank you for starting off the week. Thank you for the meditation that we always get to begin our week. And as always, everyone, we're done being sick of this shit here, so we're doing this shit. So go have a great week. I'm going to go do this shit by laying down and maybe letting my back undo whatever the hell is going on right now. But you'll probably hear from me throughout the day, friends. So I'll see y'all later. Have a great start to your week. And tune in the Save America movement with some other creators throughout our community are going to be doing a reading of the Epstein files.
Oh boy.
And
24 hours.
24-hour event. And I will be helping support in the background from time to time. And so please look out for that, everyone. It should be starting here if it hasn't already. It should be starting now. And so go find one of the Save America channels and listen in and support actually saving America.
Yes.
And so
please.
That will be very triggering. So also, if you don't want to listen in, you don't have to, but go support it. Go give it hearts for a couple seconds and then drop out if you need to. Do not go and be triggered all day. It will be about sexual violence and sexual assault and abuse and a ton of other triggering topics for abuse survivors and victims and trafficking survivors and victims and all of it. We all know what's going to be in there. We've all seen a lot and heard a lot of it. So if you don't have to be there, don't be there long. Just give it a little bit of love and support and boost so that they know that they are being watched and heard and that what they're doing is important, because
it matters.
It matters that they're doing this, and I'm glad that they're doing it because it's showing the power of our community. So go support that and have a great week, all. Go have a great week and let's go conquer this week in a good way. And we'll see y'all next week for another discussion. We have Naida Green joining us next week for a conversation. I'm so excited to have Naida with us. We're obviously going to be talking disability community and how we can broaden our ability to be a coalition and what we can be doing to support each other. So looking forward to seeing Naida next week. Doc Greeley, thanks so much for being with us. Soso, Beth, thank you guys both.
Thanks, Dave.
For holding down the fort while we were here today. Everyone, we'll see you next week. Bye, y'all.
Thank you. Appreciate it.